Hi, coronavirus is an equalizer like death. It knows no distinction between the rich or the poor, between old or the young, between man or woman. And it has significantly reduced crimes of theft, burglary, but at the same time, pandemic has focused a spotlight on another form of a crime, and that's the most unpardonable social and human crime as well as an economic crime, the crime of inequality. I feel that equality has been a myth to give solace to the downtrodden, to the poor, to the vulnerable sections of society, to the have nots of this civilization and this world. The people who have been in the upper echelons, the haves, have always talked of equality of human beings, no discrimination based on sex, caste, color, or money. I remember Edmund Burke once said, public calamity is a mighty level. So, this is the public calamity, but is it leveling the differences between the rich and the poor? Is it equalizing people? This is a period of introspection and change our thoughts and actions in a way that will promote sustainable lifestyles for the good of all. But if you look at the reality, it's not a leveler, except for killing people, except for taking the lives. It is not an equalizing factor. As I said, it has reduced the crimes because of the lockdown, but the unbridgeable chasm that separates the select haves from the hundreds of millions of abject have nots has been the ugliest fissure in the whole world, especially in countries like India. And I'm talking of India because I have my origins in this country. The haves and the have nots, the rich and the poor have always been separated. And that sense of separation has always been instrumental for the social divide, for the political divide, and the politically savvy people have used this divide for their own economic good, for their political power, and for everything. And the people have been given an empty promise of equality, which signifies nothing, that has always been full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. And in fact, in this era of coronavirus, inequality can be literally called a criminal activity. Are you shocked? You should not be. If you look at the newspapers, if you watch the TV, you would find that the outbreak of the viral disease and the repercussions it has had, this chasm has become even deeper and more malignant. And there is no effort to bridge the gap between the haves and the have nots. Now imagine at the lockdown paralyzed the country. Economic activity comes to a stop. Millions of the migrant workers stranded far from their homes with scant shelters and food, resulting in the cases starvation, deaths, and suicides. There came two events. One was the birthday celebration of a legislator, where more than couple of hundred people gathered without any regard to the social distance. Then a new president was elected of a local party, Congress party, and a reception was held in his honor. And it was, in fact, a festivity which included hundreds of the people. Again, all considerations of social distinction, social distance, and the lockdown were violated. But the cake was taken in Bangalore of the wedding of the grandson of a former prime minister of the country. The son of a former prime minister, Davegowda, was to be married to the daughter of a former Congress minister. And it was a lavish affair. It was attended by people not countable by scores but by hundreds of guests, and not a single guest wore mask or followed the norms of the social distance. This flagrant flouting of the rule prohibiting large gathering has been pictorially recorded in the press and widely circulated on the social media. While the father of the bridegroom, who is an ex-chief minister of the state, has tweeted that no disease containment laws were transgressed, the deputy chief minister of the state, who is a BJP leader, was quoted as saying, I will seek a report to see if there were violations. Bullshit. Both are talking absolute bullshit. The very fact that hundreds of the people assembled is by itself a violation. Nobody was wearing a mask is a violation. And when the deputy chief minister says, I'll seek a report, report of what? When the damning evidence is the blatant insight of all. Even the blind can see. Technically blind, medically blind, otherwise might be able to see, can imagine the state of affairs. What is the official report recommended for the wedding itself? And the initial response to it reveals that the country's privilege section is not only openly breaking the law, but that they are complicit in turning an indulgent eye on this behavior, thereby compounding the offense. Starting with the bride and the groom, all those who attended the function should be traced, should have been traced, should have been put in enforced quarantine, both as a necessity because of the health precaution and punished punitively for their culpability in a criminal inequality, made all the more shameful when it was the lawmakers who were breaking the law with impunity. But does anybody bother? People might think, well, this was bad, this should not have happened. But they would be quiet. And then it doesn't end here. The religious events show the same disregard. And again, there's inequality. The people who are in the Jamaat, who are supposed to be responsible for spreading coronavirus, the Muslims, are being derided every day on the media, and rightly so. They have indulged in criminal acts. But have the people in Jagannath Puri, when they took out a procession, not indulged in this act? So why the distinction between Hindu celebrants and the Muslim celebrants? Both have broken the law and both should have been punished. But that would not be so because of the inequality that pertains. In the one case, it was inequality between the haves and the have nots. In the other case, it's inequality between two religious sects. My contention is that how long would we continue to cheat ourselves and cheat people in the name of equality? Why can't we be honest and say, yes, these are the privileged classes, they can do what they want, laws do not apply to them, they, like Pope, can do no wrong, and you people, common hoi polloi, we do not have the same privileges and the same rights. You cannot claim equality because you were not born in a family that has been ruling the country, exploiting the country, robbing the country for the last 70 years. You do not belong to that family which essentially is a lawbreaker but is masquerading as a lawmaker. You do not belong to a family that is filthy rich. Until and unless we take human beings as human beings, we take human beings as living incarnations of the God. As if you people believe in that, I don't. That's why I know that this talk of equality is absolutely bullshit. It's a sham. It's scant and hypocritical to say that we have equality when we are marked by inequality. And inequality is not only for wealth, it's for the caste, it's for the gender, it's for the creed, it's for the religion. And all these inequalities go and add on and disrupt the country. And then, is this here only? I don't think so. There are other countries as well, the so called democratic countries like USA, where Edward Kennedy could drown his fiancée and walk off. There was a noise, but no punitive action. Where Benghazi murder could be engineered by the Secretary of State and not a question asked. So inequality reigns supreme everywhere. And yet we talk of inequality as a thing of the past. And yet we are proud to quote people like Burke, who said public calamity is a mighty level. Yes, it levels only for killing, not for living. That's my contention. If we want to live as human beings, as Homo sapiens, and not as two legged creatures like bipeds without integrity, without identity, without entity, then of course it's welcome. But one thing is clear that coronavirus has been responsible for revealing this inequality in its greatest shameless undress. Would the powers that be take care? Would they dare arrest the former Prime Minister of India, the former Chief Minister of India, the present Deputy Chief Minister, and all the guests who were there, put them behind bars? I dare them do it. They would not do it because they're mentally bankrupt, morally dead. They are desensitized beings. I don't want to call them human beings. They are just beings. They are living like animals and they are breathing like worms. But they are the leeches of the society. They suck the blood and then claim to be the lawmakers. I again dare the government do the needful. I dare the society do the needful, and I dare the media who arrogates to itself the defender of the people to do the needful. Would they do it? Let's see. Thank you.